I'm gonna take this GoPro rig and this spool of 400 feet of cord, and we're gonna go around and find out what's at the bottom of mine shafts.
Thousands of mine shafts dot the hillsides around the Oatman area and by the Moss Mine. Some of them are only a few feet, while others are reaching depths over 800 feet. They're extremely dangerous, and most are not marked or even fenced off. The mines that we'll be seeing today are all on BLM land and completely open. The problem is most of the timber has been pulled out of most of these mines and making it completely unsafe to even get close to the edge. These are referred to as ant holes, and many have never been explored since they were closed off in the early 1900s. Many animals and sometimes people have fallen to their deaths by simply getting too close to these open traps. And today we're going to be exploring a mere handful of these mines to find out what exactly has fallen into them and what lays at the very bottom. And is there a possibility that there might be old relics that have been left behind by the early miners?
Faster. Yeah.
Now we venture east away from this particular mine and head deeper into the areas that are known for deep production mines, like the Moss Mine, which is a full-size open pit mine producing millions of dollars worth of gold annually. Our job is to find more mines that have not been explored to see if there's anything left at the very bottom. The biggest challenge that we face is most mines have collapsed due to their timbering being removed. So we venture deeper into mine country, trying to find the ones that have been left untouched.
Max! What are you doing? Hurry up and get that side by side. So you can come out here and join us on all these roads and trails out here in the backcountry. There's mines everywhere. I mean, I almost drove into one a minute ago. Hurry up and get it, and I'll see you out here. You guys see that? Isn't that bizarre? Some kind of weird orange fungus growing on these plants. It's all over it. Oh yeah, beautiful shot looking down. You can see, nice cut. They must have got some good ore out of here.
This particular mine is working on a fissure-filling vein structure comprised mostly of quartz and calcite at 80-degree dip. A shaft has been sunk on the north side and an adit has been driven on the south side. It developed it by overhand stoping, dropping the shaft below the deposit and working upwards. Here you can see part of the manway in the center and the ore bins on each side, which is evident by the lagging. These mines can be extremely dangerous and unstable. Most of the timbers that you see are barely held on by a few nails, and what timbers are there are fractured. The hanging wall is quartz monzonite porphyry and the footwall is Oatman andesite. The controls for the emplacement include silicified areas, which is the best ore, and the rhyolite is partially mineralized. The vein filling is calcite, quartz, and brecciated andesite. The vein consists essentially of a mixture of gold-bearing, medium to coarsely crystalline calcite, with a small percentage of fine-grained silica or quartz, and probably algilaria. It also contains a considerable amount of greenish mineralized country rock andesite, which occurs in streaks of small bodies. Carries low-grade values as well. The croppings are more or less silicified portions of the vein, and in some places masses or clusters of quartz blades representing the replacement of calcite by the quartz along the crystal faces and cleavage planes. There is a small amount of gouge, but the wall rock next to the vein is usually sheared, silicified, and veined by quartz and calcite.
We saw that they were chasing this vein, an east-west striking vein along the ridge, and we just simply followed their prospect. There were every 50 feet there was a prospect, maybe about 5-10 feet deep. Well, we got on the other side of this hill and they obviously found a spot that was rich enough to drive a shaft down and get up underneath it. So we're gonna go over here and explore it. And I'll tell you what I know geologically, and then we'll see if we can drop it, okay? I got a main shaft right there. The hoisting works set here on this block. It's not bad size. And then here is where the compressor sat, right there. It's an obvious footprint where it sat. And all the corrugated metal is where this was all enclosed. So I have a lot of rhyolite, a lot of alteration in the rhyolite, and I've got some trachyte over here. Look at this. This is Gold Road trachyte right in through here. And you can see all the white specks in there. Remember, I told you what those white specks are. Alkali feldspar. And you can see that I've got a contact zone of the two right here. All right, I got a 2-compartment shaft here. It's nice looking. The head frame's been long removed. There's the manway. Oh, it looks like somebody's refurbished the manway a little bit. You see that? That is not bad. Nice. Be careful with these collars, because this wood up here is extremely rotten, and you put a little weight with your foot here, it's enough to push it in, and you're gonna go for a ride. The timbering work looks really good. There's the wall plate, you see it? And here's the end plate. This one's got is a little fractured right here. Nice vent tube. They got ladder platform on the way down, which looks really good. You can see the 2x12 lagging. That's true 2x12, not this Home Depot stuff. And then you got the main haulage shaft right here. That looks really, really good. And then there's the hanging bolts right there. Hanging bolts are always put on your wall plates, not on your end plates. This looks like a manway, emergency escape manway. Now the reason why I know that is I can see part of a ladder right there going down, and it's right off the side of the main shaft, and you can see where they had this set up so they could put more mine dump around the outer edge, and they had platforms coming up. So this is definitely a escapeway. I don't see a lot of mine dump though to warrant much of all this equipment, unless they got a lot of ore out. I've got air tanks down there, all kinds of equipment sitting in the wash. And I can see exploratories all along the ridge. I got one over there. There's one down here in the wash. And there's one up on the hill. And it's all along this vein. Oh, and there's one over there up on the ridge. So yeah, they were definitely following this vein. Oh, I can see an outcropping of the vein right over there.
The vein on this particular lode has an east-west strike to it. It is highly mineralized in rhyolite and andesite. Here you can see where they prospected the vein up the side of the ridge. These prospect pits can be found all along the top of the ridge, and as you come along the top of the saddle, you can actually see them all across the valley, down through the valley, and over the next hill and next ridge. Vein systems like this can be found throughout the entire Oatman area, as we're on the outer fracture ring of a collapsed caldera. They can be very productive and very rich. This mine consists of a 2-compartment shaft which reaches a depth of 240 feet. There are 2 main working levels, but due to a collapse and a complete plug 130 feet down, only the 100-foot level is accessible.
All right, another exploratory shaft. It's in line with the shaft that we were just at. Goes right underneath the toy. Right here you can see exactly what they were chasing. Right there. See if I can get you a sample of that. That's me trying to straddle this darn exploratory. But here's the vein right here, you see it? This is what they're chasing right here. This little tiny thing, right there. About maybe 3 inches wide. Then it comes out here and blows out. See, it's from here to here. See how it blows out here up on the surface? This is what they saw. So they chased this thing down. I'm gonna take a chip sample of this guy right here. So you can see this alteration zone right here, kind of like andesite when it has been altered into propylite. But we're gonna take a chip sample of this guy and we're gonna find out what's in him. All right, we came across another mine. This one is considerably larger than all the other ones that we've seen so far. And from what I've read, this one drops down a little over 800 feet. Very rich gold producer. They were tapping into a very thick 8-foot wide quartz vein. And they had their own mill. And you can see the mill, the tailings anyway, right down behind me. And I'm standing on what was left of the old ore chute and bin that fed the jaw and of course the rest of the circuit. They would pulverize it and then run it through a cyanide combination to get out the fine particles of gold. Huge hoisting works, and I've got just tons of bull quartz everywhere. It's all barren though. I don't see any mineralization in it. Now the grade here fluctuated based on the depth. They never did hit water here. The grade is somewhere between 1 ounce to 1.5 ounces per ton. And this mine was worked from the early 1900s up until the late 1930s. I know it don't look like much, but that's the main shaft right there. Now I want to drop a camera down there and show you the first level is only 50 feet down. It's not very deep, but there's a whole bunch of Africanized bees that have made a huge hive down in there, and I'm afraid to stir them up. I'll get as close as I can, and then I'm going to show you the vein and the vein structure. I'm going to show you a little trick that you can use when you come out here if you want to try to figure out how to get into mines without dropping the main shaft. I can hear the bees. See the quartz vein here? It's about 6-7 feet wide. You can see I've got stringers over there, and it's going off to a northwest strike. And if you take a look inside, you can see that the first level is only actually only 30 feet down. I can see it from here. But the bees are coming out and they're not happy, so I'm gonna leave them alone because we've been chased by Africanized bees before. Now, if you don't know anything about Africanized bees, they are very, very aggressive. And we did a video years ago when we found an old Arostra out in the middle of the desert, and there was a small shallow shaft. Still had gold ore in it. Well, there was a huge hive at the bottom, and when we were filming, they got mad at us and they all came out in one shot. Remember that, sweetie? So this is before we even knew about Africanized bees, and they came out and they were literally chasing us all over the place. They were getting into our clothes. They were all over my dad's face. They stung him multiple times. Face swelled up like a big old watermelon. And they were chasing my wife, and they even got her into the truck. So they were trying to get in through the truck windows. One of them got her on her stomach, and it swelled up like a silver dollar. We had to rush her to the emergency room to make sure that she wasn't going to have some kind of allergic reaction. But I've never seen bees do that. They were literally chasing us everywhere, trying to get into our clothes. And I noticed that they're attracted to dark colors, like black. If you're wearing black, they're going to go for you. And they don't like loud noises too. But I've never seen that before. That was years ago. Of course, we know about them now. So we try to stay away from them. We don't want to anger them in any way because they will chase you. They won't stop. I'm going to show you a trick so you can tell the orientation of the vein, the strike. And by knowing the orientation of the strike, you can actually follow the vein along the hill, and maybe there'll be an area where they popped out, where an open stope might have occurred. And then that way you can get in through there to explore and you don't have to go in the main shaft. But come here, look at this. Over there, I've got the hoisting works and I've got the shaft here. Draw a straight line between the hoisting works and the main shaft, and then draw a right angle perpendicular line off of that. And that most of the time will be your vein. So your vein, I can guarantee it, and just by looking at it I can tell, but I can guarantee that vein is traveling this direction right here, and it's headed off that way. Granted, sometimes they'll drop shafts on veins that are going in line with the hoisting works, but for the most part, the veins are running perpendicular to the hoisting works. If this is your hoisting works and this is your shaft, draw a straight line, chances are the vein is going this direction here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go looking around the other side of this hill, and I'm gonna see if there's any small openings, you know, where maybe a stope has daylighted, or maybe they have a manway or some kind of other adit that is tapped into the ore body, and see if we can get in that way. Because this is a really big mine, and I would love to see what's down inside, minus the bees. All right, we're on the other side of the hill, and sure enough, here's that quartz vein. It outcrops. They drove and added in here. Looks like they were prospecting on the top, but that looks leached out. I don't see anything worth of value. Yeah, look at this. Doesn't look like much of anything, does it? Yeah, you can see where they're hand stacking, and the vein continues to go off in that direction there. I wouldn't be surprised if it outcrops again over there. This looks like bull quartz. There's nothing in it. Nothing. You can see the vein running all the way up the side of the hill. I got a structure up there too, you see it? And they dropped a small shaft here. I was kind of hoping that this connected in with the upper working levels of the mine on the back of the hill. But it don't. This is another exploratory. You got to be careful with these. I know they look shallow, but this is the perfect place for snakes to hang out when it's hot like it is today. And you get all cuckoo and drop in there to try to pull a sample, and they're down there waiting for you. Especially here in Arizona. So you be careful with that. See where they started to poke into the vein right here? And they said, nope, nothing here. It's completely barren. That doesn't mean that it won't have values down below. They didn't see anything here, and I'm really surprised that they don't have some type of a open stope over here. And you can see where this goes all the way up the hill here. Do you see that? It goes right to the mine. And look what it does. I got the vein coming in from this direction, and then because of faulting, the vein bends to the right. See that? There's a junction right here, like a Y. It's like I always say, you have parallel veins, and off of those veins, you're gonna have veins that hit at a right angle. Where those veins junction can be very rich because the fluids have a chance to slow down, and when they slow down, the gold can precipitate out of solution. So that's where you should look. Wow, there's all kinds of mines in here I didn't even notice. Ooh, we're gonna have a good day today. This is that other vein that parallels. See it rushing up the hill here? I don't think there's anything in it, or else they would have exploited it. You can see it racing up the hill. And if I had to put money on it, I'll say there's another vein right there and probably one on the other side. Because you usually don't just have two parallel veins. You usually have swarms of them. Where's all my flowers at, huh? All the flowers disappeared. Now I just got dry grass everywhere. No, this isn't a powder shack. This is somebody's residence. I don't think it'd be the foreman. The foreman usually has his cabin right in line view of the mine. That way he can keep an eye on the workers. You know that about management. They like to watch their workers, make sure that they're doing their job. Nice. Yep, there's another vein right there. Same strike. See, and it curves. Now keep in mind that all your veins are not going to be perfectly straight. They're going to bend and fold because as the earth moves, so are the veins. But for the most part, they're going to have the same strike. Strike is just the orientation of the vein, the direction. And when we talk about dip, that's the angle that the vein is going down into the earth. So you have strike and dip. You should already know these things. This is a huge dike, a silicified dike. Look at this thing. Look what I'm standing on. Huge silicified dike of rhyolite. Just a monster, this whole thing. Now, I don't think it's got any values in it, or else they would have tapped into it. You can see where they drove a crosscut down there, but I don't think there's any values in this. If there is, it's going to be much deeper because, like I told you in the past, a lot of times when these outcroppings have surfaced for thousands, if not millions of years, mineralization has a tendency to leach out. And what you have left behind is just barren quartz, or what they call bull quartz.
Due to the fact that most of the mines that we're visiting are not even on any known maps, you simply have to take every road that you can find and explore it to its fullest extent. On this particular trip, we found 5 unknown mines in the area, and some of them were concealed in these canyons, and the mine dumps had been completely washed away from erosion. So it's important that you get out and check every prospect that you can to find mineralized zones that might be worth prospecting.
Max, if you're watching, this one's for you. This is where I want to see you come up next time with your blazer. It's a little choppy up here, I'm not gonna lie. This is where you need a side-by-side for sure. But look at this, you got these mines in these very unusual places. You see this? It's not on any map either. Yeah, you could probably make this. Just get up and around that. This is pretty cool. I got all this rhyolite. I got some sulfides in there, it's silicified, which means it's got stringers of quartz running through it. I got a nice mine dump here. Look at this. This thing's actually got considerable size to it. This looks like their low grade pile right here. They were hand stacking. I might take a few grabs out of that. I can see sulfides right there. That's a no-brainer. Obviously there's a vein running through this big old rhyolitic, and I've got more rhyolite over here on both sides, and I think I got another mine around the corner there. So, oh yeah, that's a good one right there. Look at that. We'll probably take that one and crush them up. I'm sure most of you know what that is. That light green material that's on the outside of this rock. For most of you that don't know, that's what's called lichen. Lichen grows, it's like an algae that grows on the outside of rocks. And when it dries out, it has a tendency to have this greenish color to it. Beautiful portal. You see that? Oh yeah, he's nice looking. Oh, it's nice and cool in there too. Before you go into anything like this, you make sure you check the corners, the first 20 to 50 feet. That's where rattlesnakes go to get away from the heat. They can't regulate their own body temperature. So they go in and they hang out on the sides here. Also, there's a perfect food chain for them in here because there's a lot of pack rats that live in there. So if you go in here, make sure you don't walk in with sandals and shorts on. I've seen it done a million times, because all it takes is for one of those guys to get their fangs in you. And if you're far enough away, you ain't gonna make it to the nearest hospital to get anti-venom. And I didn't bring all my gear today. I know, I don't wanna hear it, but I'm not getting caught with my pants down again like I did in the fluorite mine. But I'm gonna put this one on the list. I grabbed some samples. We're gonna crush and see if there's any values in here, and then I'll check land status. And that's what you should be doing too. Every time you go to a mine, grab samples, crush it down, pan it, mark down what you found, put it on a map. After a while, you're gonna have your own personalized gold map.
After recording this particular mine, we found 3 more that were in the vicinity, and they all showed great mineralization and silicified rhyolite zones. We pulled grab samples from all of them. We did find good values of gold in them, but nothing of great importance. Because this area has a high record of gold production, we will be going back to see if we can find some other unknown mines that have not been listed on any maps. We will continue exploring this area looking for unmarked mine shafts so that we can continue to drop cameras down them to see if there's any workable levels below that are worth exploring. And if you enjoy geology videos, I highly recommend this one, and we'll see you on the next video.